Yeah, we saw also her yesterday at the workshop.
Some of.
Yes.
Okay. Hello, everybody. I want to speak like I did, I think, in the last 3 or 4 TUG conferences too, a bit about the progress in the Tagged PDF project. Next slide. Well, the main progress in the last year was we now have accessible mass officially. We had it already a bit in, if you use a development version of NVDA or something like this, you could do it. But now in March this year, the PDF organization has announced officially there is a workflow to get accessible mass, which means mass that is properly read in a screen reader. So that it has meaning, it said A squared, B, and something like this. The workflow, as you can see, is shown below, involves LaTeX. This was on the news page of the PDF organization. Some explanation of the workflow. For this workflow, you need a producer, which is, in our case, Lua LaTeX with Lua Unicode Mass, which produce either, depending on the setting, adds MassML structure elements into the PDF or adds a MassML associated file. Another producer which came in now in the last month, I think, is Word, which also adds MassML associated file. So you can use it too to produce accessible PDF, which is good because the more accessible PDFs are there, the more the next steps of the process will have to adapt to use this PDF. You need then at the next step a PDF reader. For example, Adobe Reader is doing, but not the associated file, only structure elements. Foxit Reader can handle both. Firefox came in the last year. That is good because it's a browser-based PDF reader, and many PDFs are read in a browser directly. But it can handle this too, and there are probably other which can do it. We can't test everything. If you know of something, tell us so that we can make lists. And if your browser can't do it, complain. I don't know. Chromium, we hope they will do it, but the more people complain, the better it will go. At the last step, you need a screen reader, which has a Mascat library. That's the one who is responsible to read the MassML. That's currently rather Windows-centric because the free reader you can use here is NVDA, which works only on Windows. We hope that Orca on Linux will do it too in near future. If there are other, we don't know. Again, you can push. A month later, we then, the LaTeX LWG, that's the LaTeX Liaison Group, it's a PDF organization where we are a member, produced a best practice guide, Mass in PDF, which describes how producer should put Mass into a PDF so that it is accessible. It's vendor neutral, so it doesn't tell use LaTeX, it only tells them what to do into the PDF, what is the best way to get the best result. The best practice guide, because there are not so many producers who can do it, was typeset with Lua LaTeX. It's one of the only productions in the PDF organization which was made with LaTeX. Top down. A few months later, in June, we then had a webinar also in the PDF organization. You can look there. There's on the website if you want to hear it, which describes a bit about this MassML. It was made with Boris Dobrov, that's the chair of the LaTeX LWG, and David Carlyle and Frank Mettelbach, you know them, I hope, and Neil Sophie, something like this, who is the author of Mascat. And they demonstrated to the people there in the webinar how to do it. If you can check the recordings on the website of the PDF organization. So that was the first topic. We manage this. And this also means naturally that we are now, in some sense, quitting the test phase and starting the production phase, because we can do it. So we made the change that I announced at the last TUG, that the document metadata command now loads all the LaTeX lab modules. It no longer is a bit and you have to load the rest to a test phase case. Now it simply loads all the new code that we have written for tagging. For people who want only the PDF management, for example, to set a PDF standard or the XMP metadata, we have created a package PDF management that you can use instead. In this process, to kit the test phase case, we also made the test phase key obsolete. It now does nothing at all, or it simply activates tagging. And if you want to use tagging, you use a tagging key and activates it. You can also use tagging equal off, and then there's no tagging. So in case tagging is naturally a bit slower than simply writing a document, so while you're drafting a document, you can write tagging off and let it do it, and then activate tagging later. And there are other standards for other ways to standard. And more keys are described in documentations. So what does the extending document metadata means for you? I want to describe a bit the effects that this has. It loads new code through the LaTeX lab modules. I said this. This means various command definitions are patched or extended by this code. There are various commands with really new implementations, interface changes, changes in external packages, and one side effect is there are incompatible packages and classes. Just to give you an impression, this here is if I compile a document with Lua LaTeX, and all the white stuff is files loaded by document metadata. So that's lots of new code, lots of code. Well, it's perhaps not new. There could be old code, but it's quite a lot of code. There are still some of them called test phase. I guess in some time this will disappear because we are kitting the test phase case. And naturally, the number of files will be reduced. At some time, we will combine them. Currently, it makes easier if the individual files, but this should go a bit smaller. But for now, it gives you an impression what happens all there. You can look. I think I even missed one because I didn't load Unicode mass, and so the file is not shown. A bit more sorted, that's the list, copied and a bit sorted. There are support files, PDF management is loaded, TAG PDF is loaded. There's files for the namespaces, the output routine, footnotes, blocks is quite a large file. This handles lists and stuff. The red files here are files that affect, for example, external packages. Enum item here has an effect on enum item. Mass packages contains some package for mass tool. First aid has patches anyway, and TIX is here. There perhaps also in some other files some effects, but these are the main ones which really affect external packages. So what commands are changed? Basically, you should not assume that a command is not changed. So we change both internal commands and user commands to make them tagging aware. So mostly tagging sockets are inserted. That's the small commands who then call the tagging code needed. In some cases, hooks are inserted to extend the commands, but there are other changes. I won't list them here. That's not the plan. Just to say, if you start to use document metadata, you should be aware that you cannot rely on a definition that you already know from somewhere else. You should look at it. If you want to change it or overwrite it, better look what changed in document metadata. If it behaves differently to what you expect, look at it. Examples of commands that change are contents line. There we have hooks and sockets in it to make the table of contents tagging aware. Mbox is changed to handle, if it's used in mass, to handle tagging there. That's, for example, for Phantom. That's quite internal. Nobody probably knows it. The save mar box is changed to make margin par aware. Verb has been changed so that verb has correct tagging, and many more. No, this was the one. A few number of things have really new implementations. Mass has quite a drastic change because every mass now grabs its content completely first and then processes it. So the content between two mass in mass is an argument of a command. And it means you cannot use verbatim inside mass anymore, and you have to be careful that the end dollar exists when the begin dollar is encountered, because without it, it can't grab the stuff and suddenly grabs the complete documents. Footnotes have been re-implemented. It's already quite long, in large, really many sockets and hooks in it. Blocks, lists and theorems have been re-implemented to use templates. Frank will perhaps say more about templates later. Headings, that's quite new, use heading templates now too, and no longer the start section command. There is an emulation, so start section still works, but nevertheless the new implementation doesn't use it. Captions will follow, table of content entries will follow too, I guess, and here below I have one example of a redefinition how now the section commands looks like. So it uses XParse, argument description, and it uses internally not start section, but a new command which takes the arguments and sets the section. Really new definition. Interfaces, there's not so much changes. Yeah? We are really trying to keep interfaces for normal users stable so that they only have to add document metadata at the beginning and then get a tagged document without having to rewrite all their document. But there, in some cases, we're really trying to extend LaTeX and to make it better in places. One example is that section command has now, the optional argument is now a key-val argument. And so you can configure the section in this argument. Here I put, for example, placement top means that this section starts at the top of a new page. I made a box around the number. I put a prefix in it. I make in small caps. And you can also say the text for the table of content and the text for the bookmark individually. Yeah, so the bookmark would show bookmark and the TUG would show TUG in this case. Well, external packages. We do suppress and emulate packages. We patch packages or command of packages in smaller amount. as team, we have actually maintained quite a lot packages that we either wrote ourselves or that we inherited from other people, and collect and try to update them to make them tagging aware. So packages change too. And we have already some package authors who really try to make their packages tagging aware too. So you should expect them to react to document metadata too. So it's not, I probably forgot some, yeah, but just give an impression what is changed. Enum item is now suppressed and emulated. If I say now, I always mean the latest LaTeX. Earlier, it can be different because it's changing. The emulation is not yet complete, but many keys that you are using now from enum item work. So you won't see a difference. If you load the package, we simply suppress it, and probably everything will work, or perhaps, if not, open an issue. IMS-TRM is suppressed and emulated. There's a new implementation for TRM code. LTT is suppressed, that's quite small. Food masks, that's already quite long that we're suppressing it and emulated it. We change many commands of IMS mask because naturally mask needs lots of tagging and support. All the environments. This is fancy verbatim is patched in first aid, so not all, but some commands of fancy verbatim are correctly tagged. Not everything yet. I will probably add at some time some patches for the listing package. I have something working, but I still, perhaps I can convince the author first to put it directly into the package, which would be better. The float package is patch 2 to support the H float. Yeah, the capital H float type. I made, just to give an impression, I searched on CTAN and on TUG Live for packages using use tagging socket, which would be an indication that they use tagging. There are many that are simply from us, like HyperF, but there are also a few from external open, Equine Lines, F-Column, GIA Handout, Flowframe, Linguistics, InkGraph, that is from the T-Colorbox, also T-Colorbox 2. So there are also already a number, MIT thesis, there's the author is here, MIT thesis. Marginalia is simply LaTeX package. LaTeX, yeah, has lots of tagging sockets. But I didn't check if it does something sensible, but they're not. There are also a number of packages which tests if document metadata has been loaded and then do something different. Yeah, so Babel French, BibLaTeX here. Again, some of them are from us, like Anandshop, that was we, but this here is some other also. So it can happen that if you use document metadata, a package takes a different code path. The PDF comment package that I took up, for example, it's not listed here, but it will take a completely different code path if you use document metadata and then make the PDF comments tagging, support tagging aware. There are lots of incompatibilities. We maintain a list. You should check it if you go try to do something with tagging. We hope this list was made with the help of Matthew Bertucci, who made it really, I'm still grateful for this work because he tests so many stuff and reports so many problems and finds bugs. It's such a great help. I cannot say more than say thanks again. And if you find a problem and report it, you can change this. We will adapt the list. And still, there are still unknown. Oh, I wasn't this. let's look. Yeah, okay. That is what I wanted to do. So you saw there are lots of changes, but what are really the relevant differences for a user? We have now, in some sense, two LaTeX. We have the legacy LaTeX and the document metadata LaTeX, or tagging aware. For normal users, there's a small change of interfaces, like in the section command. There's a number of layout changes because some spacing in lists and so on changes. There's a rather huge amount of package and class incompatibilities that they have to be aware. That's the main. For package and template author, class and template authors, with template I mean people who design a document in the preamble, yeah, who try to write something that other people can use. There are more changes because they have to handle the new configuration models, they have to handle how to add and check tagging support, and they too have to handle package and class incompatibilities. That's more work to handle if you switch to document metadata. And it is a moving target. A change changes, and in half a year it will be more different. There will be more code changes. We're still discussing keys, names, and if you want the new interfaces or not, and you will still. So it is a moving target. How do you keep track of this moving target? IE is everywhere, so I asked a prompt. It's a simple test in free code, and didn't write me an accessible PDF, and he suggested the accessibility package in PDF LaTeX, and that doesn't work. The package never worked correctly. It just also the author has removed it, so it simply doesn't work. So that was wrong. Then I extended a new prompt, write me an accessible PDF, and with a UA2 standard, and the mass should be tagged with mass.ml. So I gave you a hint that I wanted accessible mass. Then I got the LaTeX document. It's quite good. The document wasn't so bad with lots of comments, but for some reason we wanted to use shell escape. No idea why. It gave a wrong link to TUG as validation, and it doesn't say that TUG doesn't validate PDF 2.0. It can only handle PDF 1.7, and so it can't do something with accessible mass. It gave also test phase key. Okay, that's obsolete, but not so problem. The problem was it suggested title sec to configure the headings. And title sec is not compatible, and the tagging of the headings disappears. So I told him headings are not correctly tagged. You are right. Title sec can interfere. So it's typical IE slogan to say, oh yeah, I knew, and so on. And then it used start section, which works even in the current because we emulate it, but it doesn't use tag PDF aware hooks. So this is the sentence is wrong, yes, but it more or less works. So I asked if it can be a bit modern and use edit instance. Then it told me edit instance, a clean native way. It was introduced 2023. No, it wasn't. It was introduced this year, but okay. And then it gave me some code, and this simply errored. Yeah, because the instance is wrong that it used. Not sure where I got it. So what's the summary? It gives you some sensible, code, but it's often outdated, and you have to know what it does. You have to know something about it to be able to use it. And if you don't do it, IE will only let you in a wrong place. I would not use it if you don't really have lots of knowledge about this stuff. Yeah, because IE can't know what we are doing in the next half year or currently. So if you don't how to crypt, use a new code to get used to it, read documentations, I listed this, but most importantly, use a LaTeX community. That is, ask people who know something. Asking the question on Stack Exchange, answer them, discuss with them. Quite a lot I hear we learn tagging just in this way by discussing with us, for example, on Stack Exchange, and now know quite a lot about tagging. Yeah? And how you can help? Use the code so that you get used to it. Report bugs, test it, and if you don't find a bug or an error or warning, report it. Make future requests if you don't like the new interfaces. We are still able to change a lot of stuff. Yeah, document metas are moving tagging, and we can change stuff. We are not stuck in some legacy LaTeX anymore in this part. You can do stuff that you perhaps want to have and help to adapt package. It is work to make use of this new code. You have to learn stuff and you have to test it, but it is worth it because you get accessible mass, for example, which I think is a really, really good step forward in PDF. I thank you for your attention.
Are there any questions?
So many.
Yeah. Okay. So it's not a question, more of a kind of a comment / update. Because you mentioned MathsCat. So I'm someone that uses NVDA, and so as of NVDA 2026, MathsCat is now integrated natively into NVDA. So you don't need to install the add-on anymore. It's just baked into NVDA.
Yeah. That was a sense of the comment that MathsCat is built in. Yes.
Hello, this is Takto.
Louder.
Hello, this is Takto. I admire your lots of work, and I really appreciate it. But I'm a bit have a concern. Want to express the concern is that you emulate a lot of packages nowadays and replaced by the kernel or kind of related packages. The first concern is that the maintenance cost will be large, but that will be addressed properly. And the second point is that it looks like makes close to the idea of context rather than LaTeX, because it supports a lot of features, and the strength of LaTeX is it is easy to write third-party packages so that to easily extend the feature by third party. But nowadays, one wants to make the extension, then they have to read a lot of documents, including SQL3, and a lot of documents of tagging. That sounds like a really hard work. What do you think about it?
We understand the concern. So it depends a bit on the type of package. Enum item is a package which simply adds an optional argument to lists to be able to configure it. Something like this should, in my opinion, be directly in the kernel. That's simply an option that LaTeX should offer out of the box. There's really no need to ask some external package to override all the list code only to get something simple like being able to change the label or so in a list. And similar, alt-tt is a small package which makes a small verbatim-like environment. It's something that LaTeX can simply provide. We will not start to emulate a package like LaTeX or so. Yeah, that's special, or chessboard. Yeah, to say if this package should get taken aware of LaTeX is because there's nothing what doesn't work, or chessboard, then the package should change. And similar, the listings package, we perhaps will put something in a first A to be able so that it works now, but the best way is that tagging support should go into this package. Yeah, there will always, we have to decide, is something better in the kernel or is something better done by external packages. But LaTeX will always use external packages for special stuff. But some stuff is really makes no sense to move changing the font in a section in an external package. Sorry, yeah. You should be able to change the font in a section on a simple way, simply with LaTeX directly. And there's this part will have to go there. There's always other.
Yeah, we're out of time. I'm sorry.
Yeah, out of time, but you can ask me at the next break. Okay?
Thank you, Ulrike.